Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the future of MVP MMA, kind of, what should be the next step for them, and, if I was the ruler of MVP MMA and the CEO, whatever the fuck, here's what I would do kind of situation. But I've been kind of looking for posts online to see anything kind of address the future of MVP MMA, and finally, from the actual MVP Instagram themselves, I'm going to go over here to this. Jake Paul on the future of MVP MMA. You usually don't immediately start right at the top, but there's a lot of work still to be done. But what we're best at is getting into the details and hiring the best people, the right production, and talent managers. We've proven we can do that in boxing and treat the fighters better than anyone. I stand here ready to go to war with the UFC using my followers and promotional ability. The UFC knows they can't touch me. So, it was okay. Again, like I said, if you didn't see my YouTube short, I rated the MVP event like a 6.5 out of 10. It was good. It was overall okay. Better than a Bellator, better than a PFL. 100%. 100% better than a Bellator PFL event. Those ones I can't even rate past a 5, a lot of the PFL and Bellator events. I can't even rate them past a 5. But one thing that really stood out for this MVP card is the pacing was terrible. UFC, they're playing right next. 2 minutes of commercial break, on to the next one. Next fighter's fucking out. Couple minutes of commercial break, next one. In this one, they cut way too much going back to fucking Tyron Woodley, who, by the way, no one wants to listen to. No one wants to listen to him on on the desk or whatever. And the commentators too were absolutely terrible. Don't get these boxing guys, any sort. They barely know what scrambling and grappling positions are. They make false he's going for a rear naked choke right now, and it's like, no, he's not. And there's just a lot of false, commentary sayings and stuff, and just, they sounded terrible. The commentary would not I wanted them to shut the fuck up, because they just sounded terrible, honestly. So commentary brought down the event. Pacing brought down the event. The fights themselves, there were some good fights, but the fights themselves were just, again, they were a lot of them were total mismatches. You got minus 1,500 Francis versus Felipe Lenz. You got Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, which we now in hindsight know was terrible mismatch. Terrible mismatch. We know Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry was a terrible matchup for Nate Diaz. There was no 50-50 who's going to win here. It was all, set in stone on who's going to win pretty much. And, it's rough when you do that, because now what are we going to do with the losers? You know what I mean? Chris Avila is 8-10 now. We could put him back on the first fight. Hey, y'all remember Chris Avila starting us off on the first card? Here he is again. You're going to do that again? People are going to see right through that. First of all, Jake Paul does not have a roster to work with at all. He definitely does have a couple outside fighters, and I think the best thing for them to do would be to try to bid with the PFL to try to get their roster, honestly. Just be like, look, guy, whoever owns the PFL, at the end of the day, I'm sure they would like a big bag. Hey, here's 50-60 million to buy all the fighters and buy PFL, because I don't think PFL is worth over 100 million. I think it's probably in that 50 million, probably below 50 million even, probably more like 25 million or something, maybe something lower than that. Best thing to do would be to try to buy as many fighters on that the PFL has on their roster as possible. Buy all of them. Light heavyweight division, middleweight division, actually not too shabby. Heavyweight division is terrible. Welterweight is okay. You got Jason Jackson. Middleweight, you got Johnny Eblen. Lightweight, you could get Usman or Magomedov. Or whoever the fuck that guy. I think his name is Usman or Magomedov. Featherweight, bantamweight, I don't know how the fuck you're not gonna be able to compete with the UFC in that division. And even Usman or Magomedov, people are always gonna know that UFC fighters are going to be higher quality fighters than these fighters that have not fought outside the promotion. And we've been saying that. Patricio, Michael Chandler, Aaron Pico, a lot of these guys that come in from Bellator/PFL come into the UFC, and they have a very fucking tough time. Very tough time in the UFC. So there's always going to be that fan disconnect from any brand that's outside of the UFC, because the quality of fighting in the UFC is just at such a high level, you know. We have a couple glazing comments, you know. And yeah, this comment is true. Try putting an event together without UFC leftovers. Let's see how it goes. I mean, yeah, honestly, that is another big problem without the UFC name. I got to be honest with you, and it's gonna fucking, you know, maybe not make people happy, but you only have a limited amount of superstars, and they're in the UFC. They're not really Saladin, the French guy. He's big in France, but anywhere else, no one knows who the fuck he is. You put him in an arena in LA, and it's fucking half empty, quarter capacity. That's another thing about this, you know, MVP card, is that when they ever cut to like the crowd or anything like that, or showed a wide angle shot of the hexagon, of the hexagon, they showed a wide angle shot of that or whatever. Man, there was barely fucking anyone there. The whole prelims, and I know UFC prelims can be kind of empty at least, but at least people get there for the main, like they get there for the prelim, you know, headliner, and then there's a lot of people there for the main card. But for this, it felt like it finally got full, and it up until Nate Diaz and Mike Perry fought, and then it got full. Yeah, apparently 90% capacity. I wanted to look this up. The inaugural MMA event on May 16th generated blah blah blah. Despite the arena appearing empty during the broadcast, Topology and Better Analysis reported a highly respectable official attendance of 15,795, which isn't the arena's full capacity. I believe it's 18,000 something. Empty premium sections. You weren't able to sell those out. There was you don't have a Theo Vaughn or celebrity like that likes to fucking, you know, see all the prelims and stuff like that. At least we got like a Theo Vaughn and some other celebrities and stuff that like to watch the early fights. The arena filled in as main card progressed, reaching an estimated 80% capacity by the time Nate Diaz walked out, which is true. They're in California. People are going to want to see Stockton, Nate Diaz, and stuff like that come in. It's just, it's not comparable at all. Sure, there have been times in UFC events where, you know, people finally show up for Conor or whatever the fight and stuff. You know, they're there for Conor, they're there for whoever. But for the most part, I feel like for a lot of UFC numbered events, I feel like the crowd, you know, you go to Perth, you go to any of these other countries and stuff, London, Paris, these aren't countries, but they're cities and other countries. You go to any of these other cities and the arenas are packed. Maybe that's just a U.S. thing, but yeah, I mean, it did not look good. I'm looking at this photo here, and the thing with the Intuit Dome, the lights are on the seats, so it looks kind of weird on, it's like a weird kind of play on your mind where it looks like there's a lot of people with like their phones out or something, but it's just the seats, they light up. And as you can see here, the front is decently packed, but in the back and the sides here, it is very sparse, you know. But going back to this Instagram post from MVP, you know, a little shoulder tap. Oh, thank you so much, Big Pump, for shoulder tapping me. It makes me so happy. We go right here. This is a photo that they like to show, but they don't like to show the sides or anything like that. This was when Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are just about to fight. And you can even see in some spots, there's some empty spots and stuff. So they're trying to pretend like, oh, super crowded event here. Whoa. And again, like, you know, it got 90% by the time it got culminated in main. At least UFC's able to get people in there in the main card for the most part. And even still, I feel like there's a lot more people during prelims. Starts getting packed. I feel like it starts getting packed by the 5th or 4th prelim. That could just be me, though. But anyways, I wanted to also just show, like, MVP, you know, these are our next events from MVP. Boxing, women's boxing, which is nothing wrong with that. But this is it. 2 events, MVP. 2 events, and you guys want to be a fighting promotion. Let's look at Bare Knuckle, BKFC. Upcoming events, 5. We got 5 fucking upcoming events. One this Friday, which I'm very excited about. We got Tierney versus Franco, and I believe Darren Till's fighting on this, or I could be wrong. We have this Friday, which is gonna be pretty cool. I always love a nice Friday BKFC fight night. Very fun to watch. BKFC Birmingham, UK, Florida, Hard Rock. Let's see. We got all these fights. Xfinity Mobile Arena, Philadelphia. Wow. They have a lot of fight. Like, even if they don't have them officially announced, they're like, TBA, here's where we're going to go. Serbia, we're going to go fucking Uruguay. Like Naples, Italy. They're BKFC, keep an eye out for them, all right? If you've not seen a BKFC fight, you need to absolutely tune in. Absolutely, you need to tune in for this shit, because it's amazing. And we look at the UFC, 10 events. Song versus Figueiredo, May 30th. Muhammad versus Bonfim, June 6th. UFC Freedom 250, June 14th. It's going to fucking destroy the MVP card. Kate versus Horiguchi, June 20th. Fiziev versus Torres, June 27th. McGregor versus Holloway. Yeah, splooge a little bit on that one. For me, at least. But we have all these things coming up. And then when you go to the MVP, we got 2 boxing events. And you're telling me you want to compete with the UFC? You can't even compete with BKFC. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Oh, bless me. Ugh. Yeah, pretty interesting that they want to try to compete with the UFC. Honestly, again, a really stupid statement from Jake Paul. I'm going to use all my followers. All my followers. Let's see how many followers Jake Paul even has. I am genuinely curious. Jake Paul. If you reload, fuck. I don't really know. Doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah, so I just want to talk about the MVP card again a little bit. Again, they need a roster. I would try to buy out the PFL roster. Try to buy as many fighters as you can, so that way you can have more consistency. Because at this rate, it's going to be 1 or 2 fights a year at the most. Honestly, 1 or 2 fights a year at the most. And that just does not compete with the UFC at all. Who are you going to get? Andre Arlovsky versus Junior Dos Santos? Oh boy. Whoa. We got Fedor Emelianenko. Whoa. Oh boy. Sorry, I need to stop my camera from moving. We got Nick Diaz and Mike Perry too. Whoa. We got Nagano versus another can. Whoa. It's like we can't keep doing this. We need new fighters, new talent. And again, I believe Ronda Rousey was trying to be like, don't fight with the UFC. You want to fight with us. And I guess that's what Ronda Rousey's role is going to be from now on, is to be like a promoter for MVP. But I think she's going to fail hard. Very unlikable, Ronda Rousey. Had to leave WWE because she was so unliked. Now she's in AEW, where I'm sure she's going to be very much well liked at AEW. I'm sure the wrestlers over there aren't gonna, not like her like they did over at WWE. But yeah, anyways, that is the video. I hope you guys have a great day, and let me know what you think about MVP and other stuff like that. And have a good day. See you.
Three.